Jack Schramm, thanks for joining us. Serves you right.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Yeah, so Mr. Wiggles himself. Yes, I'm sure you get a lot of comments and different things like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, all the time.
This is I think the best way to start here, because I'm personally curious, how did you get into doing what you do?
Yeah, so I'll give you the full story. We have time.
Please do.
I'll start from the start. So I was a food studies student at NYU, and my weekend and summer job during college was I was a barista at Milk Bar, and part of the requirements to graduate was you had to have an internship, and the Milk Bar folks were kind enough to let me intern for pay, which, paid internship for credit is insane.
That's just a job.
Yeah, exactly. It was amazing. So I interned in the Milk Bar commissary and worked directly for Jenna Derman, who is my now business partner in Solid Wiggles. So I was just doing data entry, basically, essentially Milk Bar at that point, this was 2012 or 13, so only had 5 locations in New York, and that was the extent of it, and a commissary kitchen where they baked everything at the time. So I was doing data entry to figure out the calorie counts of everything so that they could then grow
the glamorous side
exactly.
of the work. Okay, yeah.
But, Jenna and I enjoyed working together. She was the kitchen manager at the time. And so I was interning in the Milk Bar commissary and working evenings in the East Village Milk Bar location that was right across the street from a cocktail bar called Booker and Dax.
Yes, if you've never heard of it, yeah.
I'm going across the street after my shifts and having these insane cocktails, changing my life, realizing how much I love drinks, and I'm interested in learning as much as I can at that point. So I asked the manager at the time, this person Mara McGuigan, who I've ended up learning so much about bars and cocktails from. I was just like, hey, are you guys, is it possible for me to do a stage? I just want to learn some stuff. Can I come and check it out? Just see behind the curtain a little bit. She's like, well, we don't really do stages here, but we are hiring a bar back. So I was poached within the Momofuku organization to go, across the street from pastries into cocktails. So my very first shift at any bar, I was balancing centrifuge buckets on a triple beam scale to make clarified lime juice. And this is, 2013. So,
pretty early in that whole thing.
Well, I mean, it's a technique that Dave Arnold, who obviously, if you, have heard of Booker and Dax, you know who Dave Arnold is
Liquid Intelligence was a huge turning point in my career. That's when I realized how deep the rabbit hole went, actually.
So, this was I think it was the year Liquid Intelligence came out, I want to say, or maybe it came out later. I was working at Booker and Dax the night that Dave won the James Beard Award for the book, and he came to the bar with the medal the night that he won and dented it sabering champagne with the James Beard Award. It was terrific.
There you go.
Yeah, so I moved from pastry into the world of fancy cocktails, completely fell in love. By the time Booker and Dax closed, I had gone from barback to head bartender, and then left, when it closed, went and worked at the Nomad for a year, and then Dave called me up and said, hey, I'm opening a bar with Don Lee. I would love it if you would come back on board. So I opened Existing Conditions with Dave and Don as the head bartender, and loved that bar so much and loved the work that we did there. And unfortunately, it was a casualty of COVID, These things just happen.
So many good bars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's 2020, and I'm no longer working in a bar, and I'm kind of figuring out what my next move is going to be. And Jenna calls me up, who I haven't spoken to in years, but we've been in the sort of the same, Momofuku circles for a long time. And she calls me up and says, hey, Jack, I'm working on this jelly project, but I'm using coconut water as the clear, flavorful liquid, but I'd like to expand my, flavor profiles that are available to me. Will you show me how to use a Spinzall? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's make some juice clear and make some fun Jello. So I went to Jenna's apartment. We're chatting, we're spinning some juice, we're making some really, really delicious jellies. And I said to her, like, hey, let's put some booze in these. Let's turn this into a Jello shot. And like 2 weeks after that, I was doing a pop-up with Dave at Wild Air, in the like socially distance, get people, like serve drinks out a window, that COVID era of drinks that was such a nightmare, but was, the only fun thing that we had to do was pass drinks out a window to our friends who are wearing masks. So, I said, let's add some Jello shots to the menu for this pop-up that I'm doing. And that was the first Solid Wiggles event. We made like a couple hundred. Back then we didn't have the, didn't realize that the move was to make them in a big sheet and slice them. So we were individually in 2-ounce souffle cups injecting flours into them.
Oh, yes.
So like hugely labor intensive. And I think they sold out in like 75 minutes. So hugely popular. We realized, hey, people are into this. And from that point forward, we haven't stopped making Jello shots, and now it's both of our, full-time job. We have 5 full-time employees. It's it's crazy.
So, okay, I've got a bunch of questions written down here, and
Great.
I think we'll just go for it. Solid Wiggles, the name. Like, where did you get the name from?
So that was just Jenna and I, like, spitballing off of each other, like, literally just sitting at a desk in her apartment, like, saying words out loud. Mm-hmm. We were very nearly half-court shots because we both love basketball, and I think that would have been a mistake. But
yeah.
And then I think it was Jenna who said, like, Solid Wiggles, and we just kind of looked at each other, and it was like, we're done. That's the name.
Yeah. It fits, it fits in a lot of different dimensions. Like, they're very much solid drinks. So you can tell there's a lot of, construction and care in them. But the Wiggle does kind of nod to the fact that it is kind of whimsical. It's fun, It's a Jello shot, you know? Yeah.
It is truly the name it's the dichotomy of the business. Is like, these are full of joy, but also, a lot of care went into each and every one of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know, like, so I ended up getting most of the kit in, and I sadly didn't get everything in. I was going to try to make one before we talked, but I had to wait. It was Modern Pantry, I think, just delivered yesterday, so I didn't have the full range, but I was surprised at the level of ingredients and things that were needed. Like, it makes sense looking at the end products. Like, they're work of art, so it's like you're gonna need some stuff to do it. But yeah, like, what kind of process did you go through? Like, start those first Jello shots to, like, kind of, what was the evolution of, like, was it just a bunch of experimentation? Like how did you start developing your recipes and that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's like the final product is this perfect marriage of Jenna's and my skill sets, where she is a brilliant pastry chef who can, in seconds build out the Excel spreadsheet that you can, like, scale the recipe to however big a batch you need, like, that's her wheelhouse. And then,
while,
like,
somehow also waking up at like 4 a.m. like most pastry chefs, I'm sure. Yeah.
Fortunately, we don't have to do that anymore. We have the most normcore lifestyle at this point. Like, we work from 9 to 5. It's insane. I love it so much. So Jenna has, like, the pastry, like, gelatin ratio, sugar, like how sweet they need to be, all of that fully locked in. And then I come in with flavor profile and, like, classic cocktail and, like, spirit ingredient modifier knowledge. And we just put that together. And the easiest part for us is always, like, creating a recipe.
I'm sorry to interrupt. This will be fast, I promise. Please take a moment and leave a comment on the show. It really would mean the world to me. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what we're doing well and what we could improve on. I'd love to hear from you all. All right, back at it.
Really no, trial and error. It's just kind of, we want to make this a shot. All right, let's do it. There's been a couple of flavors that we had to really tinker with for a long time, namely the espresso martini. Took a long time to lock in, just because creamy doesn't always work in that application.
That
so
makes sense.
It took a lot of trial and error, but now it's a staple of our menu.
See, I would have assumed that carbonation would be that way, because I was going to ask you about the rum and cokes and the different ones with ginger beer, because it does change it so much.
Yeah, it just we're able to just get the flavor profile of the liquid. The carbonation doesn't really transfer once it's, because you have to cook it and then set it, and at that point there's no carbonation. We've thought about doing the dry ice experiment where you put the jellies in a sealed container with dry ice, so it we haven't done it yet.
Carbonated. Oh my god. Carbonated solid wiggles.
maybe coming soon. It's too much work to.
Yeah, that is full on mixology, molecular craziness. I was surprised by how old the idea of jellies were. I didn't realize it went back that far. That was really cool in the introduction.
Yeah.
So that there's evidence back to, I think it was the Middle Ages, and there's even Jerry Thomas has one in there, and what the heck? Yeah.
People have been making booze flavored gelled creations for centuries. Yeah. So it's
Before you got into this, did you know about that, or was this part of the history after you post hoc add on?
It was. I was, as a food studies student, I'm generally aware of the history of a lot of foods, but I would say that I wouldn't describe myself as having been a gelatin expert before Solid Wiggles was part of my life.
Yeah, fair. I'd be surprised. I don't think you probably meet a lot of gelatin experts out there, but maybe, I don't know. Oh, cool. Can we kind of talk through the process? Because I think this will be awesome. And obviously, what we're going to do here is kind of broad strokes. There is a whole book for those of you listening, with exacting recipes, which actually, before we get to how to make it, how necessary is it to measure into those minute amounts? Because you have very exacting measurements in there. Although the first section, it's volume measurements.
Yeah. So we wanted some recipes to be really accessible to people.
Party animals.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
The first half of the book is something that anyone can make in an afternoon. And then the back half of the book are things that, will take 2 to 3 days of, make something for an hour and let it sit in the fridge overnight. And then pick it up the next day and do the next steps. And those recipes, especially the clarification ratios and making sure you're using the correct number of grams of gelatin, is pretty vitally important to the finished product in terms of texture, both texture and flavor. So
awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So clarification. I don't have the spinning cones at home. Obviously, most people that are listening don't too.
Yeah.
You have a kind of chemical clarification method. Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it's the same methodology that Dave Arnold describes in Liquid Intelligence for clarification, where you're treating fresh juice with an enzyme called pectinase, or pectinase is the enzyme, that breaks the pectin in a juice that's essentially the protein that's holding solids and liquids together in solution. And it breaks that bond. And then there's 2 wine-finding agents, Kieselsaal and chitosan, one of which is positively charged and the other is negatively charged. And what that does is makes all of those solids that are starting to fall out of solution clump together and drop to the bottom of the container.
Okay.
So if you have a centrifuge, if you have a Spinzall or another lab centrifuge, you can do this process much more quickly by treating the juice with the enzyme and the fining agents, and then just once it's been sitting for, a half hour, spin it in a centrifuge, all the solids are forced to the bottom. But we wanted to make sure that, while you do need a lot of ingredients and equipment to make our jellies, we didn't want you to need a centrifuge.
Yeah, no centrifuge, no rotovaps, nothing that exactly. Wild. Yeah.
So you just do that same process, but instead of spinning it, you just let it sit in the fridge, and then it settles enough that you can just pour off the clear product. So your yield won't be as good. When you're doing centrifuge clarification, you can get your yield like well above 90%, like 95 sometimes, depending on the juice. But with this method, you're definitely going to get at least 70-80% yield, which is pretty solid to totally transform an ingredient.
Yeah, it's my background is mostly wine after a long stretch of being bar, and it is exactly the whole process of like decanting an old bottle. I'm watching you pour it in the book. I'm like, okay, I get this.
Yeah. Just leave that sediment behind.
Yeah, I've just always been honestly too lazy, even since reading Liquid Intelligence, to ever actually try it. But I figured just from looking at the pictures in the book, I was like, I'm going to give this a go. So I got the ingredients. So measuring is important. Is there something that could go wrong if you don't measure? Just so I know.
Well, the thing is, first of all, your clarification could fail, and it could, and if you're not following the time constraints as well, like starting with the Pectinex and the Kieselsaal, waiting, then doing the chitosan, waiting, and then back in with the Kieselsaal. If you don't follow that order to a T, then you won't necessarily end up with a clear product. It could still be cloudy, and you'll be disappointed. And none of those products are especially delicious, especially the Pectinex is it actively tastes like a melted tire. Like, it's bad. So you want to use the minimum effective dose, basically. So that's why we're not telling you to add any more than that. That's why it's sort of exacting. Got it.
Okay. Yeah, and I was wondering that flavor wise, would it degrade? Would it be unstable, or would it be dangerous? It's those are the three, because yeah, again, I know myself. Any corners I can cut. So it doesn't sound like this is a place to cut corners. Measure.
No, this is a good,
use that scale. Yes, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. I've never bloomed gelatin though. I have seen it done. Mm-hmm. I got the silver sheet gelatin because you said the other one smells like a fart, I think is what you put in the book.
Yeah. If you bloom powdered gelatin, it just it's like wet dog or fart. Just that unpleasant.
It's like that smell of fresh eggs, maybe. That weird and unmistakable. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so you put it essentially in cold water, let it soak it up, and then squeeze it out, and that is literally all you do. And that's it just activates it, blooms it,
exactly.
Okay. How do I because they're solid silver sheets, do I have to break them if it's an exacting measurement?
Yeah. You can just cut it or snap it.
Great. Oh. Mm-hmm. See, these are all these questions that I was like,
how do I get exactly this thing?
Well, I know. I'm just I'm so clearly when I was a kid, I probably had Jello. It was probably when I was 7 last, and then probably at college with a bunch of booze with no forethought.
Yeah.
And then nothing in between. So it's okay, this is all new, but I'm exciting. And then the other steps that I remember looking a little tricky, getting it out of the mold and cutting it. And so if I'm doing this at home, just make sure, you're the expert. I shouldn't even try to guess. Yeah.
I mean, the best case for getting it out of the mold is the way that we do everything we make here is we make everything in a stainless steel pan, in either stainless or aluminum. Stainless. So that when we're unmolding them, it's as simple as turning it upside down on a cutting board and hitting it with a blowtorch. And it just plops right out.
Cool.
So that's the best case scenario. But if it's a smaller pan, if you can just dip it in steaming, like not simmering water, but very hot water. Dip the pan into the water, put a plate on top of it, and just flip it over, and it'll plop right out.
Because the Jello, as heat's applied to it, it loses that solid element, right? It starts to melt. It's just, you just need enough. A little bit is all it takes. Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. Then how do you get such sharp, clear lines? Because it's like the sharp, clear lines that I see in like a professional cake cutter is what at least on the pictures. Is that essentially it, or?
So, are you talking about the injected lines, or like when slicing the finished
when
product?
Slicing itself.
I mean, we just use a chef's knife. We dip it in hot water, and at this point, we tried to have like, use rulers and have like all these different methods for measuring precisely, and what we discovered was the best and fastest way to make them look uniform and be as beautiful as possible was to just get really good and just use your eye. Like we have a methodology for exactly how we slice our pans, where it's like cut it in half one way and then make one more cut and then cut that piece in half. It's a whole process where we just do it by eye, and it's way faster and it looks better than trying to precisely measure.
Oh, yeah. So if you want to get your cuts perfect, start a business, hire about 5 people, and then, endless practice. Okay,
just do it every day for a couple of years, and you'll be so locked in.
Yeah, that's actually good advice for anything you want to get good at, just so you know. So you heard it here first. Mm-hmm. Okay. The party animal section is not the whole sheet tray, but it's more like you could just kind of pour and go.
Yeah.
The beginning.
Pour it in literally any vessel you're making, it's like making a batched cocktail, essentially. It can go in anything, it'll set and be delicious.
Yeah. I was going to ask, because this is something my wife actually pointed out, because she, first thing she said when I told her is like, ooh, like, are those super strong? Because we were like looking at the pictures, like, actually, no. He puts in there, it's like about as much as a beer. And she's like, I wonder why they didn't do stronger. And I thought that was interesting because, most cocktails are a touch stronger than like a beer or wine.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if there was a reason for that amount. Is it that, are you serving bigger pieces? Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason that we're at 5% is multifold. First off, spirits really come through. Like the flavor profile is definitely apparent in the like solid medium. So once we didn't want the spirit flavor to overpower the rest of the ingredients. We think they're really nicely balanced at this level. So wanted them to be delicious first and foremost. And then there's actually some legal chess that we're playing with that 5% number, which is at 5% alcohol in the state of New York, it's not considered beverage alcohol. It's a spirit-flavored confection, which means that we don't need a liquor license to make these and sell them. So
you could probably deliver them too.
We
right?
do. Yeah.
Oh heck yeah.
We deliver.
So I'm not in New York, so yeah.
Yeah. And we just launched shipping on our website. Shipping of cut shots. We've been shipping cakes since we started the business, but now we're shipping quite a few products nationally.
Yeah. How do those keep in transport?
Yeah, so the cut shots, we just figured out the perfect packaging, and it's been like probably a full year of R&D and dealing with the fine folks at Cornell to make sure that what we're doing is food safe, and getting things tested, retested, doing like shelf life tests, making sure we're not going to give anybody botulism. Because we're taking
a good checklist, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Taking our 36, 3 pieces each of all 12 of our boozy flavors, putting them on a, plastic wrapped cardboard tray labeled with all the flavors, and then vacuum sealing the whole thing to like just the correct level that the shots are held in place but not crushed, and that, and then into curbside recyclable insulated shipping bag with 4 ice packs in a box. You know, we figured out how to make them arrive safe and sound.
That's awesome. That's super cool. That is not something I would have expected. But yeah, I mean, yeah, if you don't want to go through the process, and yeah, wait until you see the book before you judge. You might just want to have them shipped to your house. The flower art. So I got the tools to do that, but I'm not going to lie, I am intimidated. I'm very, very glad that you have a recipe for a plain practice cake in the book. I think that was genius. So like, how much work does it take to bring someone from like no experience to flour expert? I don't know if the people you hire are like novices or like if you find gelatin experts. I don't know.
Everyone that, you know, Jenna watched YouTube videos and taught herself. She taught me, and that, you know, we just like teach. It's a skill that you learn, that it's not all that hard once you like get a feel for it. And I think that one mistake that I see from a lot of people who are trying it for the first time is they try to jump directly into florals before doing some of the simpler techniques first. I really recommend starting with like some of the lines or like other patterns before jumping into everybody wants to do flowers.
I was going to say basically the exact thing that I'm saying that I want to do. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah. So start with the lines first.
Once you've got a feel for how the jelly exits the syringe and like just a better idea of how it behaves at different temperatures, then it becomes a lot easier to manage and to understand like the cuts that you're making with those syringe tips and how to make the jelly work with you instead of against you.
That makes a lot of sense. And you kind of need to master the rum and coke before you can go to the next level of more complicated drinks. And
yeah,
fair enough. You know, I'm really glad I asked you because I would have just failed horribly and gotten discouraged. So, good to know. Good to know. What are some of your favorites from the book? Some favorite recipes, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh man. Let's see. It's like, I'd say my all-time favorite flavor is the strawberry daiquiri. I just think it's absolutely delicious. You know, we're using a really high-quality strawberry puree. You know, we use Boiron and Ray and Nephew. So it's just like, how could it not be
quality,
absolutely delicious?
No, and I really appreciate, I don't know if it was you or her combination who wrote the descriptions for the drinks, but your defense of the strawberry daiquiri really stood out. You know, it's
that was me. Yeah,
that was you. Yeah, like, you know, screw all those people that held their nose up at some simple pleasures in life. Like strawberry daiquiris are good. You know, it's fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's okay to have fun.
Exactly. Yeah, and you have enough serious drinks in there. You do. Is there any category of spirit that really like stands out? Like you have to almost be careful with. Like I'm imagining the Scotch one has to probably be pretty pungent. Like any that it's like beware when you mix with this.
Yeah, you know, it's the same ingredients that you have to beware in making a cocktail. You know, Scotch, mezcal, anything with a really robust flavor profile. You just have to make sure it doesn't take over.
Okay. Do you ever throw together wild recipes just to see what'll stick? Like throwing any Fernet in, or like just any wild things? Like,
so I have a couple of friends, Joey Smith and Jack Sullivan, who have a cocktail pop-up that they do called Low Bones here in New York, and I think they've done it like maybe at Tales last year. Like they've done this pop-up quite a few times, and they asked me if I would make for them a 50-50 Fernet and Malort solid wiggle, and I did it for them, and honestly it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I bet a little bit of the sugar would tame a little bit. Yeah, okay, I could see that. Yeah,
so I think yes, we go wild sometimes.
You have, I mean, it's not wild these days, but you have a Naked and Famous in there. Like there's a bunch of flavors you wouldn't expect, but I could see them working in like a dessert context. And it's one of the things that surprises me about chartreuse that I forget until I revisit it. It's like, while it is high proof, there is a decent amount of sugar in there. It does like balance it out, and like this, go great. Was it the swamp water that's in there, or drain the swamp? I forget what
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. Thank you. Yeah, that one taught me. I did not realize. I think that was the one where you mentioned that like most of the chartreuse drunk in the 70s was like by frat guys at college. Like it's like that one little piece of knowledge is going to be in my head forever thanks to a Jello book. I love it. But yeah,
they were just drinking straight chartreuse and pineapple, which is honestly absolutely delicious. So,
the last time that I had culinary chartreuse, it was in Lodi, California, and we had it with ice cream, just on vanilla ice cream. Yep. And it's great. It's like you would not expect that combination, but once you try it, it's like, wow, yeah.
Was that a wine trip to Lodi? I can't imagine why else you'd be going to Lodi.
It was. Yeah, it was a Somm. Yeah, that's the only reason people go to Lodi. Although I will say I loved Lodi. I've been to Sonoma. I've been to Napa. I've been to different wine regions, but Lodi, the lack of pretension and the amount of like farmers and actually like proprietors you get to meet versus just like people working tasting rooms. It was really cool.
Because isn't Patrick Cappiello out there now in Lodi? The Monterey Cellars?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. There's him. Was it the guy, not Helen, but the other guy with Turley? With the crazy last name I can never remember how to pronounce. But he was the one that turned us onto the chartreuse.
Nice.
It'll come up. But yeah, it'll come back to me like an hour later. I'll be like, shit. Well, cool. Is there anything about the book or the creation of the book we haven't touched on that we should hit before we get to the end here?
I'm trying to think. I think we've mostly covered, the creation of the book. I just want to, say how happy I am for it to be in people's hands, and I've been getting some really nice messages from folks that they're enjoying it, and it just means a lot. We worked on this for a long time. It's a years-long process to get a book from, conception out the door.
If you're lucky. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And, I had it, and I showed it around my restaurant for a little while, and I think if you're listening to this, if you have someone in your life that loves cocktails and also is into anything culinary and just kind of likes nice-looking books, we didn't mention the photography so far, but, these things photograph very well, and like everyone I showed it to, they're like, "Ooh, what is that book? Give me that book. Let me take a picture of that." It's like, yes,
awesome. Yeah. Well, the combination of our designer and our photographer, the team that we worked with was so phenomenal. So Lizzie Allen was our designer, and she really, thought for us every step of the way to make this the beautiful piece of art that the book ended up being. And she said, was helping us decide on a photographer. And we were looking at a lot of very traditional cookbook photographers and, people who you'd recognize their work from books that you've already seen. And she said, what if we go a different route and use a still life photographer? And she introduced us to Hugo Yu, and immediately we knew that it was the correct fit. He understood exactly what we wanted. Like, we didn't want it to look like, plate.
Like on a plate.
Yeah, on a tablecloth with, like a clearly staged tablescape. It's like, no.
Some asparagus in the background or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. For sure.
It's like our reference book for the photos ended up being, modernist cuisine. Like the super stark where the ingredient is the focus. Mm-hmm. And it just really worked out. So we're so happy with the work that Hugo and Lizzie did with us on this book.
Heck yeah. Well, so Jack, if someone's listening at home and they want to know more about you, what you do, or find kind of your products and maybe order some for their home, where could they go to find out about all this stuff? Yeah,
solidwiggles.com is the place to be. You can order. We're actually now selling a kit of all of the ingredients, so you don't have to go, piecemeal from Amazon and Modernist. We'll sell you the enzyme and finding agents. and
Awesome.
sheet gelatin, and syringes and syringe tips. All the little things you need to make these come in one neat box from us, shipped to your door.
Heck yeah. I didn't have the benefit of hearing that, so I did the piecemeal version. And so if you're listening, just do this. It'll be a lot easier. So
I was
you don't have to wait.
I was sorry to hear that you had to,
I think I probably, when I first was, before like I went back through the book, I think I saw that, but there's always a bunch of things that just right over the head. But yeah. Awesome. Well, Jack, thanks for taking a little bit of your day to come talk to us, and yeah, I'll have all those links in the show notes just to make sure if you're listening and couldn't write that down, you'll be able to just click on over. So
terrific. And we're at Solid Wiggles on Instagram. I'm at Schramm Plate, my last name followed by Plate, Plate, if you would like to follow.
Awesome. Jack, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. That is today's episode. Now, if you have not taken a moment to check out our website, please do. It's servesyouRightPod.com. We have past episodes and all sorts of other things there. If you want to get in touch with me, that's the place to do it. I do appreciate that you've given me your most valuable asset, your time and attention. So thank you for listening, and stay tuned. We have some really cool guests coming up. I would hate it if you missed it. Cheers.